Hey, I'm Spencer, and I'm going to talk to you about acid rain and its impacts on tombstones. Normal rain ends up having a pH of around 5.0, which is caused by carbon dioxide in the atmosphere interacting with water and forming carbonic acid. So that increases the hydrogen ion concentration of the water, dropping it from 7 to about 5. And when that rain falls, it hits things like tombstones and ground and different rocks and stuff, and it erodes it a little bit, and there's some acid-based chemistry going on, but it's not as significant as what we're going to be talking about later. What happened is around the 1850s all the way up to the 1950s, when automobiles started to take off, we had factories and cars putting in pollutants, which we'll call SOx and NOx, into the atmosphere. And these SOx and NOx reacted with the water and put hydrogen ions into solution, and we formed things like sulfuric acid and nitric acid, which ends up dropping the pH of our water to about 4. And when this really acidic water falls in the form of rain onto tombstones and into things like lakes and rivers, we start to get disruptions in our ecology and erosion of our natural landmarks and gravestones that we've made to preserve loved ones and lost friends. And this isn't just a phenomena that's caused by people. We've actually seen acid rain formed by things like volcanoes or any other natural disasters that can involve gases escaping into the atmosphere, such as these big volcanic eruptions can drop the pH of the rain as low as 2.0, which is pretty significant considering people dropped it to about 4. But this is still a huge issue.
Howdy, Frank here. I'm going to help you select tombstones for your family and friends that are now dead. So we're going to start off here with limestone and marble. Limestone and marble are both have the same chemical composition but different crystalline structures. So they both are going to be made of calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is a cool molecule because it is a basic salt. Now, when it begins to rain outside and acid rain starts to hit the tombstone, acid-based chemistry begins to occur. Now, when you introduce something like, sulfuric acid, the strong acid is going to react with the buffer that is calcium carbonate to form calcium sulfate. Now, calcium sulfate over here is aqueous in water. So this goes from being solid to aqueous. So when it rains and it forms water, basically it starts to erode your tombstone. So your limestone and marble tombstone that had all the appeal and zeal is now corroding and eroding. So don't bury your family and friends with it. So next we have bronze. Bronze is cool because it is an alloy made of copper and tin. Now, all metals form an oxide layer on the outside shell of it. This is known as the patina layer. And I'm only going to touch on copper with bronze. So over here, copper goes through redox chemistry with oxygen to form this oxide layer that is the patina. So basically the copper will oxidize as the oxygen reduces to form this copper oxide layer. Now when it rains, there's electrolytes in the water. Now these will interact with the patina layer and is generally pretty harmless. However, when you introduce, acids from acid rain, the strong acid from sulfuric acid and the metal oxide will react together. Why? Because copper oxide is a basic oxide. Metal oxides are basic. So when this reacts, it's going to form copper sulfate. Now you can see this reaction occur because metal will start to lose its luster. It'll go from being shiny and brown to basically green and dull. So last but not least, we have our friend granite. Now, granite is cool because it is a silicon oxide. Silicon oxides are acidic in nature. They are non-metal oxides, and those are acidic. So when you combine them with the big bad wolf that is hydrogen sulfate, you are basically going to have nothing. And if you look over here, your family and friends will remain for years to come.
Fortunately for bronze, limestone, and marble, the United States government enacted the Clean Air Act in 1970 and is later bolstered in 1990. And that decreased the amount of SOx and NOx that manufacturers and people could put into the atmosphere through cars and factories. Other developing countries have yet to follow, and we should just keep in mind the pollutants that we're putting into our air and atmosphere.